Good afternoon, everyone. Want to welcome you to Las Vegas Market Programming Pre-Market for Summer 2020. Today we have a select group of designers that worked with us to build a virtual show house. We have 6 of our designers with us, and you can find their designs on our website. If you want to go, it's under attendees, under virtual show house. And each of them have pulled together different products from our exhibitors and gone through and built a specialized room to what they wanted to have. No budget, a vision that whatever they wanted to create, it was theirs. It is CEU approved, this discussion and seminar, so I will be emailing that out afterward to those who registered. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Cindy Hodnett, who's our Director of Communications for IMC.
Thank you, Kim. Welcome, everyone. And again, I'll tell our viewers, apologies. We're having a little bit of video technical difficulty on our end, but the important people on screen are there. So we'll go ahead and get started. You know, I think much better than having a black box talking head here, I'm going to let you guys go around and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your business as well. And I'm looking at my screen, so we can just maybe get started with Rhonda, and then we'll work our way around.
I know I would be the first one. Well, I'm Rhonda Peterson. Thank you so much for having me. I began Rhonda Peterson and Associates in, I think it was 2009. I have to be honest with you guys. I actually had to go back and read my bio so that I could familiarize myself with myself so that I could do this. But I'm an Atlanta-based interior designer. I am a wife for what will soon be 26 years, so I'm feeling a little bit good about that. I have a 20-year-old son, a 15-year-old daughter, and in my time as an interior designer, I tell you, I think it's been like this, but it's been the most incredible journey. I love my clients, and I will actually say during the time that I've been doing this, I've done showrooms, not showrooms. I do showrooms though. I go into them and source for my clients, but I've done show houses. I've been featured in print publications, a couple of holiday coffee table books. I've been influencers at our markets, Las Vegas Market, High Point Market, Atlanta, America's Mart. I work in our community, in our design community with different charities, helping veterans and women with children, just as far as creating better housing situations for them. Oh, what else? My clients are truly a reflection of me and who I am. They are pretty much entrepreneurs. They're families that either have kids around my age, the children my age, or they're empty nesters or getting ready to be empty nesters. Mature professionals. I've enjoyed working with them so much. I love the relationships that I have developed with them, and this has just been such an amazing experience. I am so glad I woke up one day and said, hey, you should try interior design. That's about all with me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much and welcome. Denise, you're next up on my screen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Denise Morrison. I'm the principal designer of Denise Morrison Interiors and House of Morrison here in SoCal. I've been doing design for about 20 years, and then more recently created House of Morrison, where we have a retail location. We do online as well as we have manufacturing of our own line. And it's been a really amazing extension, I would say, of what I already love to do. We mostly focus on the design side. We mostly focus on new construction projects. kind of all over the country. We have the furthest one away right now is in Michigan, and we do a lot in Corona Del Mar and Newport Beach. And I have a team of about 17 people, and I absolutely love what I do. I can't imagine doing anything else.
And you're also a great tour leader, I will say.
Well, that's debatable, but thank you.
Sure. Okay. Brittany, how about you next?
All right. I am Brittany Simon. I am the principal designer at Brittany Simon Design House. I've been doing design for about 15 years. I started my company about 10 years ago. I also had to go back and refresh myself with my bio. I guess I don't really get to talk about myself that much, or maybe I just choose not to, but I had to refresh myself. But yeah, it's been 10 years, and we focus on residential interior design primarily in the Phoenix area of Arizona. But we've had clients sort of all over. I have a little bit of a unique background. I didn't start, but I sort of launched my own business through TV and doing design on HGTV and Hotel Impossible Travel Channel, FYI, and that sort of jump-started my business and able to kind of branch out on my own. So it's a little bit unique in that sense. I'm not really doing anything with TV currently, but it's still something that I like to do because it's just a different pace, as you all know. Our projects take a long time from start to finish, and TV design works a bit differently. So yeah, I've been doing this for 15 years, which is kind of crazy to think, and I couldn't also imagine doing anything else.
Great. Well, again, welcome. Let's see who's next. It's like Hollywood Squares, what I'm looking at now. So that old game show. Wendy, let's go with you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Wendy Glaster, a principal of Wendy Glaster Interiors. I am out of Modesto, California, which is about an hour and a half east of San Francisco. So there's a lot of back and forth and access to their design community. But my first real market ever was Las Vegas market. So it's a real treat to be here with all of you today. I focus on residential design. Our firm is about 3 people. We do new builds and major gut remodels. We collaborate a lot with architects, and it's just a real joy and a privilege to do this. Most of my clients are farmers or entrepreneurs. They're very down to earth. It's a real privilege to work with them. I learn a lot from them about how to improve my life, family, business, etc. So it's really fun, collaborative life overall. And it was really fun to think about one client in particular putting this room together. So I'm excited to hear everyone else's stories about their rooms too.
Great, thank you. Nicole, you're up next.
Hi everyone, I'm Nicole Salceda. I am a Bay Area designer. We are in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I actually started, I did not start in interior design. I was a teacher for 12 years before I got into interior design. So I'm fairly new to the game. This is our 5th year in business, and I have a team of 5 right now, 5 other designers. We specialize in new builds and full remodels and full furnishings. And yeah, I love what we do, like all of you guys. I think it's so important that we make a house into a home, and that's what I love so much about interior design.
Great, thank you. And Lauren.
Sure. Hey everybody, nice to be here with you today. I'm Lauren O'Connor. My business is Sanctuary Design. I'm in Southern California. We are a very small interior design firm that specializes in custom kitchens. So we're the exclusive dealer of Play-Doh woodwork in Southern California. And just about every project that we do starts with a kitchen. So we do a lot of kitchen remodels and then work closely with clients on larger new build projects. But being very small, we have a really, really close relationship with our clients, kind of really work with them in a holistic way to, determine what's going to help improve their lives. Our goal is to create a sanctuary for every client. So on a personal note, my partner, boyfriend of many years, is a general contractor. So we do some projects together, but not all, maybe about 1/3. And we flip houses on the side, which is kind of a significant side hustle for us. So wearing a lot of hats, and it's been a busy year, a crazy year too. I can relate to having to go back and check the bio. It's like, I don't even know what day it is. It's been really busy, which is so wonderful. We've been so fortunate in this business to be able to take care of people in their homes. So it's so important this year.
Yeah, and you bring up a good question. And one thing, we're going to dive into the Showhouse specifics in just a few minutes, but I did want to touch base with you guys. And, 2020 definitely has been probably one of the most challenging years ever in the history of the world, maybe. But how have each of you navigated, this year with all of the challenges that we're facing? I mean, what are some of the things you're doing to stay busy or, continue projects? Just speak a little bit about that, if you will.
Well, personally, I don't know about you girls, but I think the first month that we were kind of in quarantine and when all of this started in March, our firm kind of went into shutdown mode, and we took that month to really just kind of button up all of our systems, make sure everything was super tight and in place while kind of all the construction was shut down. And then as soon as construction picked up again, I feel like we are just busier than ever. Everyone's home right now, right? And they're like, what can I do to my house? Or I hate this room, or this needs to be finished. And so I feel like right now our business is just booming. So I'm interested to hear how you girls are doing as well.
We didn't have a shutdown here in the Central Valley the way you experienced in the Bay Area. It's a little more Wild West in the Central Valley. But I had a lot of projects in the middle of construction, and like a fire and a flood and all these different people who really needed their homes finished while sheltering in place. So we didn't really miss a beat. And it almost felt, and I don't know if any of you experienced this too, but like there was a guilt that no one could go to work and no one could move on with their life and no one could see any progress. But we were all out there trying to move projects forward so families could be safe in their homes. And like the world didn't even change at all. Like I would see all of the guys in our court go off in their trucks every day, and I would follow them out, and then we'd all come home at night just like any other day. But it felt really eerie, and I was grateful. I mean, I think all of us probably have that part of us that need to work to be okay. So I'm very grateful, but it was very strange, and I'm glad it didn't slow down.
I would say that for our perspective, because we have a few different kind of business models going on, we really have been impacted by that, particularly our retail side. We had to shut down and kind of figure out how to weather that the best we could. We have manufacturing, and not only do we have a stay-at-home order here where we're located in Orange County, but our upholstery team, all the things that you need, the supplies, the foam, the springs and all that, those manufacturers were also shut down. So even when we were allowed to go back to work, there's been a real difficult time gathering all of the pieces that need to happen. And then our design team was kind of coming and going and continues to work from home primarily. But what happened is we had a real eye-opening moment, and this was early on in COVID. We were working around our conference table, and then one of our designers told us the next day that she tested positive. And I think for me, that was a very early on wake-up call that it isn't happening to people out there, but that it's really quite possible, everywhere. And since then, basically, we just all work from home as much as possible, unless we need samples, and then keep going that way.
Denise, do you do e-commerce at all? Do you do that as well?
Yeah, and order fulfillment has been a little bit challenging because the source, a lot of manufacturing is in China and whatnot that is represented. So, but that has continued, and I will say during this time frame, the e-commerce side of our business has grown. And I think it's because people I don't know if anyone else has that aspect of their business, but it feels like people are shopping from home. And so that side has picked up more so than our retail. Retail's definitely seen a drop.
Yeah, I think for us, we also didn't shut down with construction. That was still an essential business here. But in Arizona, generally things slow down for us in the summer, and unless things are starting like in the March time frame, our summers are generally slow because most people in Arizona get out of town. And that was a little scary for me. It was like, I don't know what's going to happen. We thankfully had some construction in the works, but as of lately, I'd say in the last month, things have really picked back up again. And I think thankfully there's people at home doing retail therapy and buying online and pulling the trigger, looking around, thinking like, we got to make some changes because they're sick of looking at their house and they're spending so much time in it. And they're really, I think for our industry, it's really done some good. And I think we will see more people investing in their homes and spending money there versus going out to eat and traveling quite as much, and really investing in the experience in their homes, which I think is going to be interesting to see over the next year.
I was going to say, for me, it's been somewhat business as usual. I mean, I've been a little bit more creative with showing different things. I do a lot more video. Like, I'll get my phone out and just lay everything out on the table and like really, talk and touch and feel, and I get to tell stories. So that part, I actually like that. And I think they like that too. The one thing that I've noticed that I feel is better for me is that this time has made my clients a lot more patient and a lot more thoughtful. They're not so quick to, oh, I need it. I'm hosting guests, so I need this room done like in 15 days. It's nothing like that anymore. I think they're very patient and very thoughtful. And I'm actually really excited about what is coming for 2021 because of that. So for me, it's not really changed much. Yeah.
Definitely a silver lining. Lauren, how about you? Have you made any adjustments?
Oh yeah, definitely. So when I started my business, it was in 2007, and I was new. And so this second year into my business, the world kind of fell apart. So I experienced that, and it really shaped the way I approached this year. When things started to shut down, I kind of felt very compelled to kick it into high gear and be really quickly responsive. So we immediately went 100% remote. We had projects going on out of state. I had up in the San Juan Islands. I had a family who was moved out of their home and all of a sudden had their kids' home packed into their in-laws' place. So felt like I had a lot of people to take care of, but we made these fast, huge changes. I even moved during that time too. It's just been absolutely nuts, but I felt very compelled to make it work and make improvements and find the silver linings. And I agree. I think that a lot of good is going to come from this. We've felt very bonded with our clients. We've all gotten very close. Like, everybody's kind of supporting each other through this because, what else are you going to do? So, and honestly, the remote thing has been a huge change, but a really good one. I actually really love working remotely. I've always loved working from home. And I've brought on a couple of new team members in the last few months, and it seems to be really working. We're making it happen. So it's a time to face challenges, but I felt like the universe sort of aligned, and we're going to be okay.
Nice. Well, I'm going to reiterate, as Kim said, that for our viewers who want to see, in-depth the mood boards and the rooms that you all created, they can go to our website and take a look at those or follow the link that's in chat. But as we go through, when you start talking about your room, let's talk about the particular room that you were charged with creating. and then how you approached your design for that particular room. You know, what were your goals for that space, and how you sort of really started out your process for the room that you worked on. And I'll just open it up and let you guys, you know, again, speak as you like.
I did the lounge space, and I wanted to do a lounge, again, kind of touching on, I think people are going to experience their homes a little bit differently. I unfortunately don't think things are really going to change too much anytime in the near future. And people are going to kind of entertain more at their homes, have smaller gatherings with close friends and family. And I think it's important to create different moods and different environments within your home if you have the space to do so. So I wanted to create a lounge space that would really feel like a departure and something different than what you would see in like a family room or a great room, and really have a designated space for entertaining and sort of bringing a lounge or bar space to you versus going somewhere to get it, because who knows when we're going to be doing that again. And I wanted to just mix it up and do something different than what you would normally see in a home. And we had just done a lounge space actually for a client before all this stuff happened. And they were a younger couple who don't have kids, but they like to entertain. And it just made so much sense that you would have a designated space, you know, versus a living room that you may not use. Have a space that really is meant for entertaining, geared towards a specific purpose.
And Brittany, you know, I'm going to kind of merge our next question as well, because I think, you know, the lounge as a design space is an interesting concept maybe for a lot of the folks watching. So what were some of the anchor, you know, what was the anchor piece, or what were key pieces that you incorporated from the get-go?
I think the biggest jumping off point for me was the wallpaper, was the Kravitz wallpaper. It was darker, moody. I think we all have seen a lot of white boxes and white on white on white. And I think when I think of a lounge, I think of something that's a little moodier, has a different vibe than what you're used to seeing. A place where people could be a little bit bolder with their design choices and maybe take some risks. And that was more of the jumping off point for me, was doing something a little bit different than, you know, I wouldn't wallpaper that wallpaper in a whole space unless it was a powder room or something like that. And it made sense to kind of push it a little bit and do it in a lounge space and create that more moody environment.
Wonderful, great. Okay. Who wants to go next?
I'll
I know
go.
along the lines of Brittany. Oh, go ahead. Do you want to go, Lauren?
That's okay. Go ahead, Nicole.
I did the living room, and to me, I feel like the living room is a place where it used to be formal and untouched, but especially in California where we live, we usually use all of our house, and I feel like the living room is not a space that you can't touch anymore. So I created the room based on what I love and kind of how my own home looks. And it's very kind of earth tones, very neutral, which is our style completely. And I started with a comfy sofa because I think that's always important in a high performance fabric. And I just started layering a pretty Lilloy rug and lots of texture into the space. So if there's anything I would probably add to this living room, which I know a lot of designers are against, it's probably a TV. So maybe I would add like a frame TV to complete the space. But yeah, that's why I created the living room.
All right, Laura.
Great. So I did the kitchen, and I remember the day I kind of laid out this furniture plan. It was so fun. It was the first like chance that I had to take a bit of a creative break since all the madness started, and I had so much fun with it. So my anchor piece would definitely have to be that cool kind of Art Deco style buffet from Dovetail. I created a theme for this kitchen, which was based on Catalina Island. So it's a little island that's off the coast of Southern California. And there's this beautiful Art Deco, they call it the casino. It's not an actual casino. It's more of like a theater. But anyways, beautiful Art Deco mosaic tiles and just that whole feel and escape. I just went with it, and it honestly invigorated me like tremendously. It was so nice to take that creative break because we'd been just bogged down with all the technology of going remote and all of the just day-to-day struggle trying to figure out supply chains and construction sites and all of that. So it was such a pleasure to design this. But yeah, and we do kitchens. So cabinets are always really important to me too. That's kind of where I start every project, is with the cabinetry, and that's my background. That's what we do. But it's with custom cabinetry, everything is so malleable, so shapeable, and you can really like define the tone for an entire home starting in the kitchen. So that's how I roll.
Great. Wendy, how about you?
Well, I was so excited, like Lauren, to get this because it just felt so down in the trenches, real, everything else. So to do something just for fun was a real treat. And I actually did this with a client in mind. She's building a beautiful contemporary home on the peak of a mountain overlooking a lake in the Sierra Nevadas. And her office will have 310-degree views. And she is a literal rocket scientist. And it was so cute to remember our first meeting. We were working on tile. She'd had a bad experience with a different designer, so I was kind of picking up mid-project. And she said, I don't know how you can do all of this. It's all just coming together. It's amazing. And I never thought I'd be able to say this for real, but I said, you know, it's not rocket science. I mean, I realize it is to someone who wasn't born with that skill set. But I imagine what she does every day, and it's just a lot of fun. We kind of goof off back and forth now. But it really started this whole thing with, how do I give her all the function that she needs to be able to do the research and do all of the client entertaining that she does, because she wants to do that in her home. They're pilots, they fly people in from all over the world, but also make sure that the view takes center stage, because that's the whole point of the house. And I really loved that 10 paper wall covering that I chose, because it does have the constellations in it. It does set the tone, and as everyone knows, when you do the black, then the view really takes center stage. There isn't that hemmed in feeling. So the tiny bit of wall space that exists in the room is covered in that. And I love the Angus chair from Global Views. I love the light from Oli Studio, and they're real close by. They're just in Berkeley. Our interiors, of course, and I like the Wendover art, because to me it was almost like this sort of a graphic representation of some of the calculations that she might do. Everything had to do with her love of this home that she's building with her husband, and her personality. And she's very creative, and she's very interested in a lot of different things. But because she's a rocket scientist, she's also extremely precise. So I tried to kind of do that. And lastly, everything was performance, because she does kitty rescue also. So the Norwalk furniture has a great Krypton fabric on it, and the rug can sustain almost anything. So it was a lot of fun.
Great, thank you. Rhonda, how about you?
Well, I did the teen bedroom, and I really came up with that idea of doing that space because, well, of course I have a teen, and just listening to Jillian and her friends talk when here in Atlanta, I think we probably started sheltering in place maybe the middle of March, and it interrupted their school year, and they were like freaking out because they weren't going to be able to see one another. And just that whole idea of going to school and socializing, I didn't think that it was that big of a deal, but it really was. And so with that, I was like, you know what? Our kids, our teens, you know, they need these spaces that they can, I guess if you want to call retreat to, where they feel comfortable. And so when I was looking at everything online, the first thing that grabbed me actually was a 10 paper. I think I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it, but it had these color gradations in it where it just reminded me of a sky. So I was like, you know what, I would put that on the ceiling. And then there was this Regina Andrews light fixture that I don't know, just that black orb, and then the little, I don't know, the little arms coming from it, it just reminded me of something very celestial. So Jillian and her friends are dreamers. And so when I went through and I started looking at things to create the space, I wanted it to be a place where they could really, I don't know, the dreams that they dreamt in that space, they would just live there with them and inspire them and motivate them. And once they came out of that room, it was just like, okay, life is not that bad right now. I can go out into the world and do whatever I need to do, because I just didn't realize, you know, it was just that stressful of a thing. So the colors that I selected, the artwork that I had gotten from, oh my gosh, guys, you're gonna have to help me out now. I'm having a serious brain fart. And I was just on the line with my rep from there too. But it's just, you know, the bed from Modway, I wanted to do a modern bed, and I want to do an upholstered bed, but the curving of the headboard, and I love the way the bed sat on the brass legs. And then just layering textures, like there's a stool that I have with feet. And Jillian, I mean, I'm telling you, I took so much inspiration from her, because she'll sit in front of a standing mirror that she has, and she has a little poof that she sits on, and she does her little skincare routine there. And then, you know, there's a lamp there. I just try to encompass so many different things that I know that she feels good in her room with doing. And then there's a desk, because I don't know if you guys have kids my age, but my 15-year-old, she wants to do her homework in her room at her desk. And so I wanted to have something in there that was just so nice and so pretty, and it would double as a vanity if she wanted to. But again, with a really nice plush chair. I just wanted the room to be comfortable. I wanted it to support dreams. And I just wanted it to be that haven that, you know, I felt like a teen girl would retreat to, where she could, I guess, replenish her spirit if it needed to be replenished.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I love
Denise?
that, Rhonda.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I just said I love that. I love everything you said.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
I love the sentiment of that.
Denise?
So I really love adding bold moments, but then also kind of looking to balance them. And I'm always, always, always drawn to really earthy textural pieces. So I would say the starting point for this, when I was kind of looking, you know, where to go, would be the temp paper, and then also that chair, the lounge chair by Noir. I knew those could be the bold forms, and then looking to add pieces that balanced kind of the strength of those pieces by more quieter forms, like the bed, which to me read very classic, and then a very neutral wool rug. I think the side table, just the natural form of it, plays off of the shapes in the wallpaper. And then the mirror, again, it's the shapes that really took the lead in this design. And then the green in the art, I think, was just that perfect pop of color, otherwise in a very neutral design. But I think that, you know, always the white bed with just a little accent pillow is super inviting. So that's kind of how we approached it.
Great, great. You know, I think one of the things that's interesting is, of course, with this kind of virtual show house, you know, you have a really generous budget that you can use with this one. But I think people always love to hear from designers, actually, what are the must-haves that for your own home? And so talk a little bit about if you were doing a room like this, maybe, and I know, you know, Rhonda, of course, you spoke to this a little bit, but what are some of the must-have things that you're putting into your own home to build that sort of, coining Lauren's phrase, sanctuary? You know, talk a little bit about those things.
So, you know, I think really luxurious bedding is, especially now, we need it. So I love, you know, 100% linen bedding can be really, really cozy and breathable. I love that. I love the natural feel of like a wool rug under your feet. I think that's a must-have in my book. I think just really a coziness more than ever in our homes with COVID and being home so much, looking to add things that make you feel more comfortable, things that are beautiful, but things that make you feel more at peace in your home. You know, that's always what we're striving for, is to create that environment.
Great, thank you.
I think one of the things that, well, locally, I collaborate with a lot of retail stores, and it's been really fun because even when everything was totally closed, they let me kind of sneak in and get what I needed for clients and then leave. And they all buy from Las Vegas Market too, so it was fun putting this together because I said, oh, if anybody ever actually really wants this, I can get this right. But almost as a reward, every time I go to the grocery store, I get ferns and fresh flowers. So now, like, my entire space, living space and office is just loaded with fresh flowers and plants and greenery, and it feels good to see things living and growing in your space. I think, you know, if you watch how your plants do, and if you have luck, you know, pick a fern that isn't a Boston fern, because that's sure to die and you'll feel discouraged. But the rest of it, just go for it. And because you can see like little fronds come out, or little, just something is happening that's positive. And I think it's encouraging, and it doesn't cost much at all. And you can try it with just about anything. Every once in a while, I give clients like a fresh orchid or something on demo day to put on their nightstand, because I don't want them to hate me 30 days in. And it's funny because they're like, oh, now I have to keep this alive. I'm like, no, this is a guilt-free gift. It's from Trader Joe's. Throw it away when the flowers are gone, and I'll bring you a new one. So like, don't put too much on it, but you can enjoy it while, you know, it's in your home and looking good. So.
I don't know about you, Wendy, but I can't keep anything alive besides my children. So I wish I could have a fern and it could thrive, but that would just.
There are great silk products out there. Great faux floral. So it helps. Anything green.
I mean, I think for me, with what's necessary is kind of similar to what Denise was saying, and I think Nicole, you even said it's all about, you know, performance fabrics and things like that. But I think, yeah, a comfort level is important, again, because we're spending so much time in our homes. It really needs to, our home and our environment needs to take care of us as well. And it's important for, you know, the pieces that you do have in your home to really work for you in the way that you live. So I think performance fabrics and things like that are important. And we like to focus on what we call livable luxury, which is, it can still be sophisticated. It can still look, you know, nice and like it doesn't work for you, but it can actually still work for you. It's just a matter of picking the right materials. But also for me, I think a uniqueness and items that are unique and things you can't really find. And if you were a client that wasn't working with a designer and you just went to, you know, some retail shops and you could find a lot of things that you see over and over again, I think it's important to really have a different view on furniture, and whether that's custom building something and doing something unique and really putting your stamp on it. I think that's really, really important from my perspective.
I love that livable luxury. That sounds so good.
I mean, that's what we say. We're like, I have so many clients that have young kids and
yeah,
they're afraid to invest in something that's well made because they think that their kids are going to ruin it or their pets are going to ruin it. I'm like, no, that's all backwards. We just we need to have it built well, and we need to have the right materials, and it'll last you for as long as you want it to, until you decide you don't like it anymore, versus, you know, replacing something that's inexpensive and disposable furniture every couple of years. It's like, you might as well just invest it in the right material and the right product.
Right.
Right, great. Anybody else want to talk about their must-haves before we move to the next question?
Totally. I think because we're all spending so much time at home now, those daily rituals become so important, where we're not out, you know, socializing with friends or going out to dinner. It's like, and life is kind of crazy and uncertain. Having that moment when you're sitting at the dinner table with your family and kind of like building on those special little like day-to-day rituals has been really soothing to me. And I try to encourage my clients to like lean into that a little bit, you know, give yourself an elegant experience at the dinner table where you can just kind of sit down and the weight of the world's going to melt away and it's all about you right there and everything is fine. So those little, you know, bar stools at your kitchen island, like upgrade that, sit and enjoy your cup of coffee in the morning because the rest of the day might be totally nuts. Or light a candle when you're sitting down at the dinner table and make it special. Turn off the TV, stop listening to the news and chill and like enjoy each other's company.
Absolutely. So we actually have a couple of questions and I'm going to go ahead and go into some of those because I think the first one particularly I love, and I'm not sure how many of you have done non-virtual show houses, but one of the questions we have is, you know, talk a little bit about your experience doing this virtual show house and the collaboration, that sort of thing, compared to one that you would do that would be, of course, non-virtual. Just talk a little bit about maybe how that's been different for you.
Well, I know my experience with doing a show house. It's like your I guess space mates, if you want to call them that, the people that have spaces near you. There's I don't know, like a collaborative spirit almost that happens with that, that doesn't, or I don't know, it doesn't necessarily happen in this virtual space. And you actually you may start out in thinking that your concept is this, but then as you see other things materialize, you're inspired by something that your neighbor over here is doing. And then there's this, I don't know, there's this whole support system. It's incredible. It's an incredible feeling as an interior designer when you know you have people that are around you that you guys are working, you know, towards the same goal, which is creating this amazing space, this amazing home. And you're there like helping each other and cheering each other on, because I can think of one particular show house experience where it really was it was stressful. And I will say, if it were not for my colleagues, it would have been a really difficult thing to complete, because not all show houses are easy to do as far as, you know, your timelines and your schedules and all those things. So when you have the support of your colleagues and everyone knows that you're going after that same goal, it makes all the difference.
Great. Would anybody else like to speak to the experience of virtual show house?
I think it was so fun. It's so relaxing and creative, very limitless. This is awesome. And it's so great to see what everybody comes up with. This part of it kind of provides the camaraderie that we would miss.
Right. I agree with that
situation. Virtually, of course.
Fantastic. So we have actually, and I think this is interesting, we have a couple of questions that are actually very sort of consumer-ish, you know, client-ish, if you will. One is talking about the palette of performance fabrics available and working with a designer. And then, of course, the other one is I love this one, it's very nuts and bolts. What are your thoughts on reupholstering a piece of furniture versus buying a new one? So just, you know, we can, again, kind of go around and give us your thoughts on performance fabrics, because I know several of you mentioned working with that in your project. And then if anyone wants to speak to the reupholster versus buying new, we can touch on that as well. But would love to drill in on performance fabrics a little bit as well.
I have a gal who came to me because she wanted one of those white cloud sofas, but she has 2 little boys and a daughter who's a teenager who loves to do makeup. And when I told her she could take home the Revolution sample and do whatever she wanted to it, and that we didn't mind, she took that literally, and she went home and she rubbed in hot Cheeto dust and ketchup and wine and tobacco juice. I didn't ask too much about that one.
Oh.
And like all kinds, she tried Worcestershire sauce, everything. And she brought it back 2 weeks later because she's very thorough. And she showed us the piece, and it was, you know, beautiful off-white piece of Revolution performance fabric, and said, "Can you see the hot Cheeto dust?" And it's great because it's fun. I can tell all of my families that, you know, I have a lot of farming families, and they come in dogs and mud and almond dust. And it's so nice not to have this sense of impending doom that this beautiful thing that you love so much that you know looks perfect at any moment can be permanently defiled and you'll waste your investment. So I think you can have, you know, I think we were saying before, and Brittany said, you can have a really beautiful home and it can be sophisticated, and you don't have to wish your children dead the moment that they spill a Coke on the sofa. You know, you can all be there together and enjoy it. And especially now, you know, with all the stress that people endure, it's almost, I mean, I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't specify fabrics in any family home unless it's performance, because I just don't, I feel like I'm going to trap them in this vortex of unknowing worry, uncertainty, when we already have that. It doesn't need to come from a fabric. So I think it's great. And I would only recover something if it's A, sentimental and you just can't bear to part with it, or B, it's less than buying the same level sofa again, which is hard to do.
Yeah. Hot Cheeto dust that's serious stuff. That's
teenagers,
impressive.
man, they don't care. They lick their fingers and then they use your sofa as a towel. It's terrible.
And nobody should have to give up Cheetos at this time, right?
No.
I think performance fabrics have come a long way too, right? A lot of people still think of the microfiber look. And so it's just about us educating our clients on, look, there's so many options to choose from and pulling the right ones for them.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. If anyone else wants to speak to performance fabrics, please do. But I think even just maybe over the last like 5 to 7 years, they've advanced so much from going beyond what they once were to, you know, the number of options available now. And actually, we do have a question about, you know, how many options are there for performance fabrics? And, you know, maybe you can speak a little bit to that in the course of what you've come across in your work.
I think there's so many options. I almost feel like you can find every type of material now in a performance fabric of some kind. And I think a lot of different vendors and mills have done a really great job of offering an additional protective layer or coating to the fabric. Like Kravet now offers an Ulta layer of protection that you can add. It takes a little bit more time from a, you know, ordering standpoint, because they have to add it and go back through whatever their process is. But I feel like even if it's not through a mill, you can do it through a local company just to give you another added layer of protection, not only for your client, but also for us. You know, we want to keep our clients happy, and no one wants to get the phone call that, you know, they've lived on their sofa for 3 weeks and something happened and now it's ruined, because we still, you know, feel like we need to fix it. And I want to have, you know, faith in a product that I won't get a call like that that early on. You know, I can't help with a Cheeto dust, but maybe that layer of protection will keep it at bay for a little longer. You know, they can get some wear out of it before it, you know, you get the first scuff. It's like on your new car. It's going to happen at some point, but if we can clean it off and it lasts a little bit longer, it's not quite as devastating.
I think
your marble island, right? Your new marble.
Or
the first mark.
Right.
And then you just get used to it.
So we are honestly incredibly almost about out of time, which is amazing, because I had so many more things I wanted to talk to you guys about. But I think what I'd like to wrap up with is, because another thing I think people are always interested in is what inspires you? What are sources of inspiration for you as you're, creating nonstop? Where do you find your inspiration?
So I think when I relax and travel, or even just take a break, that is when I allow my mind to be creative and really, I would say, take in my environment. Even just this last week, I did a new client, interview, and they want to build a modern Italian home. And I was able to go back to all my Italy photos and just get immersed in that style. So I find when I travel and I'm noticing all of the cool different ways that different cultures live and the patterns they use on their floors and the colors they use, that's where I get most inspired.
Great. Anybody else?
I agree. I think it's so hard right now in the times of COVID to travel, obviously, but looking back on your past travels, I think is perfect, and trying to get outside in nature as much as possible. And yeah, I mean, I always am inspired by other designers as well. So even if I'm on Instagram and trying to find new designers to follow, that's been really inspiring too, because we definitely have our go-tos who we love, but it's also nice to kind of find new talent and see what, what they're doing as well. So that's been inspiring to me.
A lot of times when I go to a client's house for the first time, I think everyone wants the client to feel like their home exemplifies who they are. And so, sometimes the inspiration doesn't come in the moment when you're standing in front of the person and they're looking at you hopefully, and they're sure you're going to solve their life. And I just pray. I'm like, oh God, show me what would be perfect for this family, because it is not coming. And it comes every time. And every project is distinct and correct for that family or that client. And I think now more than ever, I'm just grateful that that prayerful request of inspiration, as you see it happen every time and it works every time, you feel less like the world is on you and you have to fix it yourself. Because if it can come to you in a moment in front of somebody when you're desperate to give them this fabulous answer, you just feel less alone about the rest of it. And it makes me feel a little more hopeful and the burden of the world a little bit less, especially in that moment when you can give that answer that was given to you and you see their face light up and you can see the relief in their whole body language, and you think, oh, thank you. I'm so glad I'm not doing this by myself. So that's just been a huge gift to me to really see that in action. I'm very grateful.
That's lovely. Anybody else?
There's a trail that I love to run on that's near my home. And when we first went into this whole shutdown thing, they actually closed it. And I literally felt like I was just, almost like claustrophobic because I couldn't get out and run. And there's something very, very cleansing about that. But over the years, like just traveling, I've collected so many different books from every museum I think I've ever been to. And I'm always reflecting on my museum books from the Louvre. And I mean, oh my gosh. So I have this collection of books and even old magazines that are no longer in publication, that I will just sit on the floor and just go through and see all these amazing things, because sometimes I feel like I get caught up into what's happening right now and what we're seeing right now, and I forget about that amazing design that happened, like, honestly, and I'm just gonna say this, in like 1994 in one of the publications that are no longer in existence. And it's just, it really, it takes me down memory lane, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot all about, you know, mixing this or doing that. And then I'm inspired all over again. And then it's like, oh, I got to find this so I can sell it to them. But so oftentimes for me, it's just literally getting on the floor and going through those old books, those old publications. Yeah, I love it.
And so many editors just thank you from the bottom of their heart for saying that. That's great. Well, ladies, you know, on behalf of Las Vegas Market, thank you so much for participating in the virtual show house. I am going to turn it back over to Kim so she can actually sign us out officially with a face on the screen instead of my black box. But we look forward to seeing you guys again at Market. And again, thank you very much. Kim?
Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you ladies for your wonderful designs. Again, you can find their designs on our website, and the link is there in the chat. It is CEU approved, and we will be sending out that information tomorrow or later this week. So at this time, thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.